Hello and welcome to Bug Watch with Swissly. I'm your Bioform boy, Davey, and this, as you know, this show is all about Tyranids. We're going to look at last weekend's best performing lists and one list from this weekend coming that I found very interesting indeed. Yeah, let me know what you think of these lists in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to 6 for more amazing content. And you know what? Follow me on Instagram. Why not? It's at It's Swissly. That's ITS Swissly. I appreciate that Swissly is probably the most difficult word to spell there, but I spelled out it's. We'll go with it. All right, enough of that. Let's crack on with the lists. All right, first up, we have Dag Samuelson representing Xenophilerna. And yes, and he went third and out of 26 players. So very well done to him. He has gone for the Territorial Instincts and Jormungandr Mixie of Soupy. So what does that mean? We've got monsters with Obsec. Also, because we know sometimes you just want that special spicy Obsec sauce, he's also got Death Leaper in there and giving him Alien Cunning just for that little bit of more Obsec. You know, sometimes you just can't get enough Obsec. He's gone for Jormungandr, as we mentioned before, provides very nice synergy for shooting units as they're usually -1 to hit for with ranged attacks, so keep them a little bit more durable there. We also have, yeah, we're like with the Tyrannofex with Dermix and Biosis, he's trying to keep these monsters alive. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a special treat for you in this list, or Dag has a special treat for you in this list. A rare find, an extinct species, the winged hive tyrant with Reaper of Obliterax, previously assumed extinct. But you can see this beast absolutely savaging his opponent's late game once many of those threats that could deal with it have gone. Very interesting use of it, I think, and that's how I'm presuming Dag's used it here. Keeps it behind this Tyrant Guard for a while, and then throws it into his enemy's back lines, round 3 or something, to try and take that back objective, trade up if he can, but obviously it's easier said than done. It's also great into things like Abaddon or the special character from Sisters that I can't remember at this moment, Morganval, things like that. Very nice. I looked at Dag's run in this tournament, and he only had one loss, and it was to the new Custody Horde Hotness, which is a very difficult game, and obviously winning events around the world like Australia, etc. So, you know what, Dag? High fives all round. I think you did great with this list. Well done. Right, let's get to the next one. Next one, we have Thomas Warwick with, oh my God, how do you pronounce this? Yanela, yeah? Sure. Wargamers. It was using WTC scoring, and Thomas went 3-2-0. What I mean by that, and I've hopefully got these numbers the right way around, he won 3 and he drew 2. He lost 0. So well done for Tom for going undefeated. What's Tom got on his list, though? That's what you want to know. He's got 40 Hormigans, all of them bare bones, but they are mini transhuman because Thomas has gone Leviathan. So a little bit more durable, quite nice in that sense. But I think these guys are just solving problems for him. They are screening out areas that that Thomas might find a pain in the backside. He's got them running into his opponent's deployment zone for behind enemy lines. They're screening out charges, things like that, protecting some of the bigger, more valuable pieces of his army. He's getting use of the Leviathan adaptive here as well, with the Tyrannofex with the rupture cannon. Obviously really hurts inside when you miss with that gun, so having the reroll to hit is very nice. And obviously same goes for the Shard Gullet. Shard Gullet's a brilliant relic, and when you miss with it, it sucks big time. The other cool thing that he's done in this list, which is quite interesting, is how he's kitted out his Carnifexes. So you see some lists that will take loads of Carnifexes. You see some that might take 1. When you've got lesser Carnifexes, like between 1 and 4 or something like that, and they can get targeted down and killed, having something like spore cysts on them, like what Thomas has done here, just gives them that durability to stay alive, as it gives them the benefit of like cover. So very nice in that sense. I've never done it myself, but I feel like it would be quite impactful, especially when -1 AP is a thing again. If you're on a 1-up save and you go up to a 2-up save, happy days. You know, you're going to survive a lot more than if you went up to a 3-up save. Very nice. There's also a Tyranid Prime in here too. I think what this Tyranid Prime is doing is just adding cheap synaptic. Now, I think with cheap synapse, you've got two options. You've got the Tyranid Prime, which is what Somus has gone for here, and you've got the Parasite of Mortrex. Now, I think the Parasite of Mortrex offers lots of different utility, but doesn't offer any shooting. And I think that's what the Tyranid Prime here does. It offers that extra bit of shooting, and everything in this army, with the exception of the Hormigans and the Neurothrop, actually can benefit from this. Even the Raveners with Death Spitters will benefit from that. So I think overall, he's opted for a shooting threat and being able to buff all the rest of his shooting up for one turn, rather than having the utility that the Parasite would offer. So very interesting. Would love to hear a bit more from Thomas on this list if he is listening. Cool. Let's get to the next one. Garrett Olsen, who is representing Team Northern Front, and he went 12th out of 52 players at the Wheat City Open. So Garrett's gone with Gorgon and Unstoppable Swarm. Now, of course, you know what Unstoppable Swarm does, a bit like me last week, right? When I got it completely wrong. I totally forgot what it did. My brain went to mush, and someone kindly pointed it out in the comments for me. What it does is it stops you suffering modifiers to your movement, advances, and charges. Very nice, especially if you're going into a Town Custodian meta, right? So you're getting those minuses to charge, etc. It takes all of those away. There's nothing worse than when you forget that Tower can stop your charge. Just as you think, if I get this charge off, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to stop them before Kayun even kicks in. And no, that doesn't happen because they -2 to your movement. So a very nice little piece of tech there. It'd be great to hear from Garrett if there's any other ways to utilize it, or any other reasons why he's taking it. So things to call out here: Tervagon with Crushing Claws. Now, I always take Crushing Claws on mine. I think that there's no points difference. From the Silent Challenge, you just get one less attack, but the Crushing Claws actually offers something that I think sometimes I struggle with, especially with Gorgon lists, to kill high wound, high armor, things like that, creatures. So I'm thinking knights, I'm thinking maybe Deathwatch Terminators or things like that, whatever. Things that you just can't get through the armor of with, for example, Hormigans at -1 AP. So it just does a significant amount of work. And I tell you what, one thing I can tell you about Garrett, he doesn't really like failing wounds. He really doesn't like it, because not only has he got Crushing Claws, which double his strength, he's also put a Adrenal Glance for +1 strength, +1 movement as well. Fair enough. He's also got the More Claws of Thyrax, which help you re-roll wounds. Very nice. And then, you know what? Even if he doesn't want to wound, he's got Toxin Sac, so he can auto wound on 6s. So Garrett does not like rolling to wound, and I don't blame him, because the amount of times I've rolled ones with Tervagons or Crushing Claws hurts my soul. What else we've got that's interesting here? We've got 2 sets of Termagants to protect that Tervagon. So normally people take the 30 or something along those lines. Garrett's gone for a 25 and a 22. I'm a big fan of this. When I was taking the Tervagon at the last GT, I think it was Nottingham or something, I went against Votan and they one-shotted an entire squad of 30 Termagants, which was rough. It just left my Tervagon open, and that died the next turn. So having those 2, I think, just gives him that security. He probably didn't deploy like a dickhead like I did, but I think it's a very nice thing here. Again, with the Unstoppable Swarm, taking away any changes to your movement through dense cover, things like that. I think it's very nice in that if you're going to have 25 Termagants, 22 Termagants, 45 Hormigants, that's a lot of bodies that are going to spread across the board, and you are going to get caught up in something that, potentially reduces your movement at some point. This just takes all of that guesswork and, uncertainty away. So I'm a big fan. The other thing that's in here, which is we haven't seen on many lists, and I'm surprised actually, are Venom Throps. Venom Throps were a staple pre-nerfs, and for some reason they just haven't been as popular now. Garrett's taken them here. I think I can imagine this kind of castling up and then spreading out with a couple of Termagants, laddering back to where they will be benefiting from the -1 to hit from Venomthorpes, just gives them that extra durability, because obviously one thing that Gaunts aren't is durable. So nice there. And then what we've got as well is the Parasite Mortrex with Alien Cunning. I think it's such a good unit. I take it myself. Really good flexibility. You can throw it into your opponent's deployment zone for behind enemy lines. You can take one of their objectives away if they've left it undemand on OBSEC. Pretty cool. All right, so they're the 3 lists that we're looking at from last week. Let's take a look at one list that I spotted that's very interesting for next week. This is Federico Lee Sims, hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's representing Team Metaslaves. Now, one thing that I will not pronounce right is the name of where this place is. It is Schonenkloppen, the Schonenkloppen Open. Sure, right? That's about right. What has Federico taken? He's named his army the Gantopolis, which I assume means Jankopolis, which I can't pronounce either. And what has Federico done with this? He's gone for the kings and queens of digging. That's High Fleet Jormungandr. And he's gone for the secondary ability of naturalized camouflage for that additional +1 to his armor saves when benefiting from light cover. So that's an interesting one. I really like naturalized camouflage. I take it on my Gorgon list, but it's only really useful depending on the terrain you're playing on. So my biggest, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this list up is with naturalized camouflage, you've got to look at the mission pack for the event you're going to. If you're going to be on, for example, UKTC terrain, very obscuring, you're not really going to benefit from +1 to your armor saves if your opponent can't even see you to start with. So whereas in America, I know a lot of the guys use GW terrain, and that has loads of ways to shoot things, get angles, etc. And I would recommend, that works in that kind of terrain. So definitely have a look at the terrain for that setup you're looking at, and and that when you're considering naturalized camouflage. Okay, let's get to the cool stuff about this list, right? Well, he's got double Tervigans, and he's got 90 Gaunts. Did you hear that? That's the FAQ rules designers screaming with joy, saying, we told you they would go for swarms if we just made everything else more expensive. A very cool thing I like about this, and something that I spotted a while ago. I've tried to make it work. I can't. I hope Federico makes it work, and that is the toxin tax on termagants. There's 2 reasons why I think this is really cool, and it really works when it does. For 1 CP, you can make all these termagants 6s auto wound. Fantastic. So that's 5 auto wounding termagants. If you can have it with, on average, you can have it with like Swarm Lord to get rerolls to hit and things like that to get a little bit more efficacy. But that's just there as an option if you need to take a couple of wounds or something, or if you're on that mission where you have to kill things to gain points, it might just help you get over the edge there. The other reason why I really like it is when you're playing things with like lots of wounds but not many attacks. So if I think about an Armiger or something like that has enough attacks, but they maybe will only kill 5 termagants. These guys will fight back and auto wound on 6s. So even though if they're rolling their wound roll, they'll wound on 6s. They might never even get to that step. So you've got so many hits going through every time, and that just puts them on their armor save, and you never know, you might just get through there. I've had it before where 30 termagants have taken out knights, they've taken out custodies. It's been great because they just come back to life because the termagant brings it back to life. It's lovely. What else we got here? So I like the synergy between the fast attack and heavy support here. So what we've got is 2 exocrines. They will blow huge holes in whatever is in Federico's opponent's deployment zone. Then what Federico will do is fill those gaps with his fast attack slots. So Ripper Swarms will deep strike. Sky Slash Swarms will fly really fast. Parasite Mortrex will fly really fast. Get into that space, gain behind enemy lines, happy days. Parasite Mortrex will give birth to Rippers, and ideally land on his opponent's objective, take the objective, get 4 points on behind enemy lines because he'd have 2 units behind there. Very nice indeed. He's also, with this Parasite, he's reached all the way back into April of last year, and picked up a Parasite Mortrex with Gestation Sac and Alien Cunning and pulled them right through to 2023. And you'll love to see it. It's a massive nostalgia feeling from last year of having that Parasite in play. It's hella expensive on CP, but great to see it back. Now, Federico, I think, is being a bit modest here when he says that this army is Jankopolis, or however he's saying it. I think this list scores very nicely, right? We've got Psychic Secondaries with any of his 3 Psychers. Love it. We've got Behind Enemy Lines with all those fast attack slots. Very nice. We've got Banners, which is very difficult to take off. 90 Gaunts. Very nice. And of course, the primary is really good with this as well because you've got 90 bodies just spreading out onto objectives. Very difficult to take off. And they'll, Federico's priority will be to protect those banners, things like that, because that's how he's scoring his points. Scores very well. I think Federico will do very well with this list. There are some hard counters to it, sure, with heavy weight of fire from is it Gladiator tanks that Space Marines have now that are useful now. I think there will be some challenging matchups. However, I think there's going to be some lists that Federico goes against that he literally rolls over. But best of luck either way, Federico. I hope you do really well, and I hope that I can talk about your list next week as one of the key winners, key performers, if you like, from the weekend before. And guys, that's it for this week. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who is watching and listening to me blab on about Tyranid still. Thank you so much. The first video hit 1,100 views. I'm absolutely blown away. Like my goal was 1,000 views. So, and that was very long term. So thank you to everyone who's listened to this. And of course, a big thank you to all the generals I've featured today. Well done if you performed last week. And of course, best of luck to Federico going into this weekend. Of course, if you're not on this week, let me know. I want you to be hungry to be on this show. So please get in touch if you want your list to be featured. And you know what? If you're going into this weekend's games, best of luck. I'll be rooting for you. Have a great weekend.